Thompson and you are watching the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club. Please head over to our Facebook page and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, PD, back with another Carlisle Cult Cinema Club Presents, and this week we are joined by friend of the show, Allan Bryce, the absolute legendary publisher of Dark Side magazine and DarkFest, which is DarkFest 8 this year, which we're going to chat about. The man's an absolute legend in British horror. Thank you for being on the show, Allan Bryce. What a guy.
Well, it's my pleasure because I had a good time last time, and I liked it. People actually keep saying to me, because Yanni's son, Anthony, he did podcasts. He did a lot of professional podcasts. He's not doing that now, but he used to do one for Alexi Sale, for example. And
right.
And so he said to me, "Oh, you need to get all the professional equipment for podcasts and do some of your own," which we might think about doing that at some stage, because they're good fun, and there are a lot of people we know, a lot of friends of ours like you, doing them on a regular basis, and it's kind of fun to share. People might be interested in seeing, like as I said to you when we start, before we had that little preamble before we started this, today is. The magazines are due in tomorrow. The new magazine is in, and Dark Side. So we have to spend the first 2 days of the week, really, early part of the week, getting all the subscriptions up to date, because we do it all ourselves, and stickering all the envelopes. And it takes a long time, because the thing it takes also, I think the thing that takes the longest time is Yanni likes to. She has to identify the last subscription. So, for example, if it's your last subscription, then what happens is we put a little letter in there saying, just reminding you that it's run out. So we used to email people as well, but I think it's it's quite labour intensive all doing this stuff, and so we're printing out all these labels, sticking them all on. A lot of people, you have to separate the foreign ones out from the UK ones. I mean, and also it's a really expensive proposition to post out. I mean, we spend a few thousand a month on posting out stuff, maybe more sometimes. Slightly less now since we started a different way of posting the foreigns, because the foreigns just got so expensive. I was saying to people about some guy in Australia who was moaning and saying, it charges, it's like £130 for a 12-issue subscription. And I said to him, well, it's £100 just to post them for us. And that's not including the cost and then when you start adding the money that PayPal take, and the money that the money it costs us for the envelopes as well, and the cost of printing the magazine, we'll probably make about £1 a year profit out of sending a subscription to Australia. So we had to literally do something about that. And what we did was we found a different way of doing it, not using Royal Mail, but using a courier that sends our magazine. Basically, they get transported to the country where they are sent out at the local rate. So it might add an extra week to the time it takes to get to the other end.
Yeah.
But really, otherwise we'd have to say, no, sorry, we can't do any Australian or New Zealand ones or what have you, because it's just not worth it. The amount of money that you make on subscription. The rest of it, though, I mean, it is silly, because obviously every year the cost of post goes up, and every year we just think, oh my God, what's it going up to next? But for example, we post the books out, and the books generally, they used to cost us £2.99 last year. Then they went up to £3.49, and now they're going to £3.99 on the 7th of April. So they put an extra £1 on each one, which is why we had to start charging a little bit more for books, because it costs us more. Also, our cost of our normal magazine, I think it wasn't that long ago, I seem to remember the cost of the magazine, posting out a magazine cost us around about £1.20, but now it's £1.76, and it's going up to £1.77, which is not bad. That's not a bad increase, but on the other hand, when you're talking about thousands per year, it still puts hundreds of pounds on your postal bill.
That's it.
Which is the thing. But anyway, so I'm saying, so this is our day when we are we're finished now. We've done all the stickering. They're all sitting outside. They're sitting in the breakfast bar through there, ready to be posted. They'll come at 9 tomorrow, and then we'll spend about 5 hours stickering them basically, and that's it. So that's our next day's work. And then okay, sorry, I've got to shut the door. Apparently, right, come on, doggies, out you go. Yeah, so basically, and also we're going out tonight because we've got I think I told you when we last. So you may join us for one of these events.
Yes, I would love to join you for the Gentlemen of Horror.
Gentlemen of Horror. I belong to 2 groups. The Gentlemen of Horror are Eric
and the Cads.
And Eric, the Gentlemen are a more sophisticated bunch. Obviously, they're the sort of people who get out of the shower to pee. They're sophisticated. So that basically, Graham Humphreys goes, Eric Minalton, we belong to Dead Pal. Also, John Hamilton, great guy who's a very good writer. And Yanni's coming with me tonight. Kevin sometimes comes. I don't think he's coming tonight. And Alpha as well is another pal of mine who's a dinosaur expert. In fact, Al, we should have him on because it is party pieces. We wouldn't believe it, but he can actually if you give him a bit of blue tack, he can make a dinosaur behind his back. And you could just, any type of dinosaur you could name. So I remember, I think Jeff Elson said to me, Jeff, Jeff, yeah, I think he said to me, oh, he might have had it made up already. I said, no, he's going to make it up already. You're not going to have 100 dinosaurs, is he? If you ask him for a Stegosaurus, he'll make you a Stegosaurus, and you want a T-Rex, well, no, you're not going to have 100 of those things in his pocket. He's quite amazing in that respect. So he does some really good stuff. Also, as I say, the gentlemen, we tend to meet up in Victoria and just go for a curry. Then, because Jeff, I think, Jeff, I've known Jeff for ages, but I really met Jeff Elsom at the DarkFest. And he was calling himself Billy No Mates at the start because he didn't have many friends there. But, pretty soon we introduced him to people and he became a regular. And then he did come once or twice to the Gentlemen of Horror, but I think he wasn't wanted. It was just that Jeff's a bit over the top at times, and he decided he was going to start his own group called the Cads of Horror, and so the Cads became a bigger group because Jeff, every time we go into a pub and there's a pretty barmaid there, she ends up joining the group or something. And I'm saying, how many people are in this group? There's a lot of them are in the group, but they're not. I mean, I think Dominic Brunt's in it, for example. Dominic's a great guy, from him.
Yeah, I've interviewed Dom.
And Dom's a brilliant bloke. And he won't be going to the event. I doubt if he'll be joining us for any of these events because he's too busy working on Emmerdale. But he's part of the group. And there's a lot of other people there who are part of the group. I think, I might be wrong here, but I think people like Neil Marshall are probably in the group, but they don't really go to it.
No.
So when they're in the scheme of things, the most regular members, obviously me and Yanni go, and our pal Alpha as well. But also we get people like Tony Martin and Lauren, who you probably may have chatted to, but Lauren does a podcast as well. They're good friends of ours, and also Merlin and Asena, who do the Worldwide Weird events, which are really good fun. So there are a lot of the horror people that we know, but they're 2 different types of event. We go with Jeff. We go to the West End somewhere, and we go and we usually have a Chinese or something those nights, and go somewhere. So it can be a little bit more expensive because obviously it's quite expensive in going out anywhere these days.
Yeah.
You buy a bottle of wine in these places in about 25, 30 quid. I remember last time we got home, we were a little bit early getting back from the Jugged Hare, the pub we would go to, and we've been buying bottles of wine all night for about 25, 30 quid or something, and then we stopped at Weatherspoons, and you could get a bottle. This is on Victoria Station. You get a bottle of red wine there for 16 quid. So Weatherspoons are definitely the way to go if you want to say. But it's fine. It's fine. We don't mind. I mean, it's not. So we don't go out to that many of these things, but it can be really expensive. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, so we're planning at the moment. We obviously we last time we talked, I think it was pre-DarkFest, I'm sure.
It was we did discuss DarkFest, but nothing had really been announced.
No, I mean I think well obviously we had a very successful DarkFest in November.
Yeah.
It was our biggest yet, and certainly our most profitable yet. And we've got this year, we've started to line up people for it. We've already booked Lynn Lowery.
Yeah.
And we'll probably show Shivers.
Which film are you showing with Lynn?
Well, I think we'll show Shivers, although we've got our Romero book, which is going to come out earlier. We've got a George Romero book coming out, but I think if that had been coming out at the time of the festival, we probably would have shown the Crazies. But I think she was also talking to us about showing I Drink Your Blood or something, which is not a bad little film. We've never been seeing that on the big screen, but I think Shivers is probably the most popular one, and it is.
Yeah, Shivers is superb.
It's like its 50-year anniversary, so I think we'll probably go with Shivers. And then on top of
my first Cronenberg film
yeah.
scene.
Well, we got other people. There are people who actually want to come along. We went to Romford, and Romford was great, and Ian McCulloch was there. Ian's brilliant, and he would like to come down again. He's been with us before, but he's such a nice chap. And also, when I was there, Francesca Ciardi, who was in Cannibal Holocaust. Now she's gonna come last year. She's not very happy with me because she thought that I turned her away because we had a discussion about it. I've got her. I can phone her up and ask her. She's very easy to. She's got a brother who lives in this country, so relatively cheap to get over here. Because you have to put her up and all that. Just do a few little cab fares, Ubers or something. But she did. She was unhappy because I said to her about two months before the event. I said, "Oh, I can't really come this time around because we just got too many people already because we already had too many people, and that I figured what is not much point in overcrowding it because I had Cynthia Monreale over and she was good. She did really well, but unfortunately with Cynthia, she did not bring any pictures over with her. I had a load made up for her, but if she'd asked me, I'd have made more. But she sold out of them in the first, signed pictures in the first, I don't know, hour or two, and she got no more pictures. I said, well, I'm sorry, if you asked me for them, I would have got some. I did some for Jenny Hanley, who came as well. And she was very happy because she had her own as well. So she sold those and sold the others. All guests, our events always do well. I mean, we had people who turned up who weren't advertised. I think Barbie Wild asked if she could come. And I said, yeah, we can fit you in somewhere. And we squeezed her in. And we were at an event where Marianne Morris was a few weeks beforehand. And he goes to me, oh, I've invited Marianne. She's really nice. Let's just have her along as well. But there is sometimes it's a bit silly because one year we even had Ian Ogilvy. We didn't even announce we had Ian Ogilvy. We thought get him along. So I don't want to do that. People keep saying to me, you could get someone like Barbara Steele or Sybil Danning or Elvira or someone like that. We probably could, but there wouldn't be much to be gained from spending thousands to get those people over, because at the moment, we sell enough tickets. I think we generally sell about 400 tickets at 40 quid. So that's a decent amount of money, but then it costs us a lot of money to rent the cinema. If we suddenly got someone super duper and we found we sold 800 tickets, we'd be screwed because we haven't got enough room in there. So you can only get 550 people in the cinema, and I'm always conscious. And I think now we know it's a bit like when you do things regularly, like when we do our magazines. We know exactly, more or less exactly what we're going to sell every time we do a magazine and a book. Some books will sell more than others. Some books will sell less, but in the end, they'll all sell for the same. They will all. We've done books in the past. Usually I do like 1,000 copies of a book, but with Carpenter, I think I did 2,000. and because I thought it would be more popular, we might do more of the Romero. But in the end, when they're gone, and that's it. So we want to sell out. So we don't want it's common sense that, I mean, although we've got a big house here, bear in mind every year I've got 24 more piles. If you can see on the side there, that's what my piles of magazines. Most of them are down the bottom in our little dance studio at the bottom of the garden, which is where I store as I gradually move the piles down there each month as I start to get more.
Yeah.
I said to Yanni, in a year we have 24 new piles of magazines. So something's got to give. But either we stop printing as much or chuck a few in the bin or something like that. But eventually, because people do want the old editions and everything.
Yeah.
We have just started doing, which is kind of interesting. We sold out one of our slowest books. We did one for Infinity, which was Invasion, which, again, our books are all good value. And I just thought the other day, I thought, well, we sold out of Invasion. We did 1,000. Sold out of Classic Screen Monsters, and we sold out of the one we did really well was the Amazing Movie Posters of Thailand. So I thought, you know what, we'll just put them on sale as digitals now, because I could reprint them, but I thought we've never done it before. But people can download the PDFs and read them that way, and they've been quite successful. We only just put them up there, so we're not really, but we've certainly we've got them.
Yeah.
To let people have them, and some people do actually prefer reading things in a digital way. So yes, of course, they're nice books to collect because they've got loads of pictures in them. But I think essentially what I like. Because we're doing all these books, and this year I've got, I've got this Romero book, and I think we might do that quite soon.
Tell us a bit about the Romero book.
Yeah,
before we went live, but
so Chris Coating, who's one of my valued writers in America, he had a couple of books. I think he was going to do these books with Dennis Mickle, when Dennis was alive.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to do them as horror handbooks or something like that. And then, so the Carpenter one, I looked at it and thought, this is really good. Let's publish it. So we paid him for that and sent. We pay the writers, and then we send them a bunch of copies of it. I was quite happy about that. We paid him in advance for the Romero one, and he's going to. And now it's finished. It's so the first book bit was like the movies of John Carpenter, and that's got all the films that Carpenter made, heavily illustrated, and a nice book. This one's going to be the movies of George Romero. Again, lots of great illustrations, probably better for horror fans because there's tons and tons and tons of zombie type pictures and things like that, and they're really good behind the scenes shots, I mean, it could be a Romero year because somebody was saying that another publisher. This is the weirdest thing, right? My friend Harvey, who does Fab Press, he's doing the John Carpenter book, which has been gestating for a long, long time. Some other big publishing company have announced they're doing like a Night of the Living Dead, massive Night of the Living Dead book. But the only thing is, we're little maverick publishers, but we can get things done really fast. If I decide we're going to do a book, we just do it. It's not we don't mess around. I write quickly, edit quickly. So does Kevin. Kevin designs very quickly, and so we want something done quickly. We just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, another book that we probably will inherit is we've been talking to there's a company called Wild Star Hearts, and they do a lot of T-shirts and things like that. They're quite well known, so we'll be chatting to them. One of the guys here who runs it, because initially he did Rick's Scream Along with Susie book, and all those books. Those are artwork books. Now Rick wants to do like a mega artwork book with everything in there, and all the Susie stuff and everything, with about 420 pages. And we might just publish that ourselves and just do it, because Kevin's definitely going to be designing it one way or another. It depends on how, because he'll be selling that. It'll be that'll do really well. And the books we do, I mean, we could do more books. I mean, Eric does a heck of a lot of books with We Belong Dead, and they're all really good. and you know, some of the other publishers that we really value, and Wayne Kinsey, who does great Hammer books, amazing stuff, you know, because he's got all that material. In our case, I think every year I just try and think of something a little bit different. And this year, I'm going to be doing my book. It's called 1968 because it's about when I was about.
Oh, yeah.
So it's my diary book, and it's going to be quite a laugh. I think I've been rereading it, and even I find it funny. So I think, but it's also about what I saw what was on the telly. And sometimes, you know, I've been checking up to make sure. Oh, was that right? Was that right? You know, sometimes you check up that. You know, was my memory right in that case?
Yeah.
You know, generally it was. You know, so I've written stuff in there. Like for example, I remember there was one big thing where it was floods. You know, and I thought, was it really floods then? And I looked it up. And yeah, it was 1968 when I went to see The Graduate in Epsom, and nearly got stranded on the way home on the bus because it was everywhere was flooding. So you know, this is just sort of hopefully be a fun thing for people to read, and I think if they read my editorials in the magazine, they'll enjoy it. And I'm not going to be doing tons of them. I'll probably do 1,000 copies of it, and then you know that'll be my little, it will be my little autobiography in miniature, but also, well, you know, remembering what it was like growing up in those times, which was a lot of fun. And you know, buying horror comics and monster magazines and things like that, you know. And I remember in one of my diary entries, I said, you know, why is there no good British horror magazines? You know, I might have to do it myself eventually, which turned out to be quite prescient, really, at the time, you know.
And now you do, and you've got the biggest selling horror magazine.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because obviously there are other horror magazines around, but you look at things, you know, things are tough all over. I mean, I've got pals in America, Don and Vicky, who do scary monsters over there in Castle Frankenstein, and they've got problems because I think in America, Diamond Comics or someone like that?
Yeah,
they're a big distributor, and they just filed for this Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, which means that things are not all rosy in that area. So that I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But I do know that obviously in this country we got a problem with Smiths if they're closing down, or they close a lot of their shops, and they're going to close. And I mean, who knows whether they'll be taken over or what? But I mean, we sell most of our stuff sells in Smiths, so if we don't have a Smiths to go into, then we'll have to hope for the independent news trade and the supermarkets to take up the slack. Or of course, we'll have to look forward to getting a lot more people subscribing. But you know, subscriptions is obviously ideal for us.
I subscribe.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks. Well, there we go. So you know, so it's obviously the easiest way for us to make money. And we noticed when COVID came along, our subscription levels just jumped up really quite high. So I'm hoping that this will happen because you know we have a very tight control on the costs. And one of the things I've said before is that we pay Smiths a lot of money for what we sell in their shops. And I've worked out, I think last year, we gave them close to £40,000 just for renting spaces on their shelves. That goes to show how much we actually pay.
Yeah.
You know, so we wouldn't have that money to pay them. But I do think that anyone who takes over the company, one of the best things from a profit point of view with a company like Smith is that every time you go into their shops, all of those magazines are paying to be there. So if that's the case, that must be bringing them in millions every year, many millions every year. And is it something that somebody, I'm dog's back in now, is it suddenly something that is it suddenly something the new owner would want to go, oh no, we don't want that money anymore? I don't think so. I think hopefully I just think also there's got to be somewhere where people can buy their magazines, buy their books, you know. Oh yes, you can buy online, you can buy digital downloads, but it's not the same. And you know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, I wouldn't do just a digital version of Dark Side or Infinity. You know, it would be. Well, the other thing that's interesting, we were talking about what's coming up this year. We've got DarkFest, obviously. And I was saying to you that we've got Well, we've got Francesca Ciardi is going to come this year because she was very unhappy with me last year, but I sorted it all out with her at, uh, at Romford, and also there's a few other possibilities that will be probably a few other Italian type guests that we might
well, Weird Worcester's doing the big Italian thing this year as well, isn't it?
They've got loads of people there going there, haven't they? That's Graham, my pal Graham, who does Film Treasures, and they're going to do a good job on that, I think.
They've been straight up with me because I push the stuff a lot. I got a message with a free ticket, so I'm happy.
No, they're good, very good. I mean, Graham, I saw before we have DarkFest, we have a curry in Brick Lane, and then which we take our guests to. So this time this past year we were out with Graham and Tom Lee Rutter, obviously, you know Tom. And they were talking about these events and how much they cost and how much it costs to get guests over. I think Graham was saying the other day, he was talking about he wanted to get Lee Majors over, and Lee Majors wanted like 15 grand appearance fee or something like that. You know, well, I don't see how anyone could actually make the money on that unless, you were to take a percentage of their signings or something. I don't know. We should do that with our guests. There's another interesting one coming up this year. Rick, our artist pal, and he has this mate Mike Smith. Mike is the Mike does the frames the pictures, Rick's pictures. So what he's done is he's said Mike wanted to have his own horror festival, so he wanted to do one called the Shed of Hell. So this is happening in, I think it's July. I'll have to get there. I should have got the date up for. They can go online. It's the company is called Screaming Skull Enterprises. But anyway, he said we're going to have this big event, and it's in Rushton. Now, I think that's Derbyshire, isn't it? Rushton. I don't know.
I don't know.
I couldn't say. No, anyway, it's Rushton. Anyway, but that's where it is. It's about 80 miles from here, so I could drive there. But he's going to have all these. We've done an article about it in the next issue, not this current issue, but the following one, which is because he's trying to make it a massive thing with all kinds of different tables and stalls and all kinds of entertainment. And he's got burlesque girls and all sorts going on down there. And it's in this big thing called. It's like a big railway shed that they've got there, because Rushton, believe it or not, doesn't actually have a railway station. They've got one of the biggest towns in the UK not to have a railway station. So that means if you get going to it, it's gonna have to.
Yeah.
No, but they do run these little railway excursions up and down the disused track, and apparently he's got all these people coming. People will be able to read about it in the magazine. And we're saying, okay, well, good luck, because if it works for you, it'd be brilliant. It'd be another fun day to do it. But we're also looking at a very, very possibly doing an InfiniFest in like June or something this year.
Right.
Which would be connected with Infinity.
Yeah.
Because Ian McCulloch was saying to me that he'd like to do something with Caroline Seymour, who was in Survivors with him. Show some Survivors there. And we've got some some Doctor Who people who would be happy to come along, some Star Wars people.
Yeah.
And I'd like to show some of the classics I'd like to see on the big screen. I wouldn't mind seeing like Forbidden Planet on the big screen, or War of the Worlds, the original version, or Time Machine, or something like that. Some of my favourite that I could show. You wouldn't generally see them in a cinema hall, and I think that'd be fun. I mean, obviously, Infinity is as successful as Dark Side. In fact, a lot of the time it outsells it now. And I figured that would happen because obviously there's a lot more commercial value in like James Bond.
Yeah, it's broader appeal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But but we have more. We don't have any other competition in the horror market. We have very little competition. There is Scream magazine, but that comes out like 5-6 times a year, so it's not really, it's there. It's there, but it's like anything else. Even like in America, you've got Fangoria, that only comes out about 4 times a year. And if you're going to do something, you do it. You do it as often as you can. We did used to. In fact, we Yeah, we used to do.
I've had my first credit in Infinity magazine.
Oh yeah, what was that? Go on. How was that? Yeah.
Photo credit on the Hawker Slayer piece.
Oh, that was through Jay, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
vinyl covers
Yeah.
and the VHS covers I scanned them and sent them to him.
Yeah. Now I've known Jay for donkey's years. You know, he's one of those people. He used to come to us. The Silver Fox used to do a lot of. He lives locally, so he lives in Sutton. And he used to be tied in with Dark Side many years ago in the first
Yeah.
incarnation of Dark Side. Haven't really had much to do with the second one yet, but he kind of got back in touch with. I mean, I should probably go out for a beer with him soon. Haven't seen him for ages, but he's no, he's good. He gets some unusual interviews and things, and his pieces are very, very good. You know, and he also he's good when it comes to getting pictures as well, because a lot of the time we have to find pictures ourselves, and sometimes that will slow up a feature if I haven't got the pictures to go with it. Sometimes I go looking around for it and I can't find them. But yeah, Jay is helpful. Yeah, I did notice your name on that. You literally got your proper credit, which is good.
So I was over the moon
yeah.
when he sent us the.
He's got another one coming up this time. It's Warriors of the Lost World, I think, is the next one.
All right, yeah.
He's got. I don't know if you helped him on that one as well, but that's coming up.
No, I didn't on that one.
Yeah, but no, he's got all these weird and wonderful, and he's also said to me, he put me in touch with this actress called Sherry Buchanan, and we might have her over as well, because she's in Cannibal Holocaust. Not Cannibal. Sorry, what am I saying? Zombie Holocaust. You know,
right.
Ian's in there. Ian McCullough's in that one as well. Zombie Holocaust. It's not a great film, but to be honest, it should be quite a nice guest. It's just trying to find, the right people who, because every year we do, we do have. There are a lot of people who people expect to see at DarkFest. So,
yeah,
for example, I've got my Hammer ladies. They always, so at the start you always go, well, Pauline Peart's going to come, Valerie Leon's going to come, Caroline's going to come, Maddie's going to come, and maybe, who else we got? A lot of Pauline Peart usually will always be there. So there's only about 5 or 6 of our general Hammer girls. If they'll come, they'll always come. Like Martine couldn't come last year because she was in America, but. So the same people will come. So that only leaves us to maybe find another 4 or 5 decent guests.
Yeah,
and you could argue that maybe we should vary it sometimes and have a whole bunch of new people. But I think because it's like a lot of people who go to DarkFest, they just like seeing those girls there. They're like our regulars, and then we supplement them with some other big names. Which is good, and we've had some decent people. I mean, we had Lynn Quigley, obviously, the year before last, and it's tough. It's tough because people like Graham with his Weird Worcester or whatever it's called, they've sprung for a lot of big name guests.
They have.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know if we could. I was saying we couldn't afford them. We could afford them, but it would chip into our profits a great deal because. The one thing that Graham doesn't have with his event, at least I don't think he has, I'm hoping I'm not speaking out of turn, is that our renting the cinema is very expensive. So, for example, good old Spencer, who's a brilliant guy, Spencer Hawken, who does Romford, he said to us years ago, if you want to have a festival in my cinema, if you like, in Romford, you can have it for free, basically. So we just have to guess. And we tried it. Well, it was just before COVID came along, so it didn't work out. But at the time, also, the Queen Elizabeth line wasn't finished. Now it is. It's easy to get to Romford, but it's funny, It's just there is this thing that people have that. They won't go too far out. I mean, it's still further down the tube line. It's quite a little bit of a journey. And I think that's what, and it's interesting because you go to Romford, you meet although there will be people who go to Romford and go to DarkFest, a lot of my pals will do. The Romford gang and the Southend horror, Southend-on-Sea bunch as well. So Horror on Sea bunch.
Yeah.
Who go to Paul Cockroach things. There's not a vast crossover because a lot of those guys, they are filmmakers and they go to those events because they're going because their film is showing and they want to see it, and their mates will go as well. And so therefore, you'll notice that even though Spence had all the tables set up, when the films were showing, the place emptied out. Loads of people went in to watch it. If you go to DarkFest, most of the time, there's always people wandering around because they'll go, "Oh, I've seen that. I'm just going to go and have a drink now at the bar. I'm going to go and do this, do that, and the other." So it's like a more of a social thing, our event, I think, because people just mill around. It's just like going around the pub and having a drink with your mates, and that's it. But anyway, I'd be interested to see if we go with the InfiniFest. I just need to get the right guests and get the right deal from the Genesis to have it. I'm kind of looking at not 2nd June. I'm trying to look at that 7th or the 14th of June or something like that. But anyway, advertising if we are. But as I said before, that our books are coming along quite well, and we've already. I think we booked for 22nd of November for DarkFest. I'll have to make.
Yeah, 22nd November it is. I'll be there.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah.
I've got me lift sorted. My mate's driving from Carlisle all the way down.
How long is that going to take? It's going to take a few hours, won't it?
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. Blimey. Anyway.
So we're going to come down on the Friday.
Yeah.
And stay for the Saturday and leave on the Sunday.
Oh, you'll enjoy it anyway. You will enjoy it. It's. I mean, it's. As I say, it's really good fun. I just love it. To me, it's great because it's like with the timing of it as well. It's like the beginning of the Christmas holidays for me, because it's like just sitting there. And I enjoy having a good day out there, and really, obviously, the fact we make money is the icing on the cake, but it's just fun. I remember saying when we first did it, I said to Yanni, as long as we don't lose money, it'd be fine. But obviously, over a period of time, you don't. You need to be sensible about it. I mean, you can't do business and lose money all the time. But that's why with the InfiniFest, I don't know. It's a bit of an unknown quantity as to how many of the DarkFest people will come to an InfiniFest as well. Because I know a lot will, but there are also people. I'm wondering about other people who are into sort of sci-fi and things like that, into Star Wars and all those things. How many of them will actually, how many of them are likely to come out the woodwork so we can meet them at our other fest? But it's an intriguing one. I'm interested. And Al Priswell, my good pal Al, he's because his job is restoring the Ray Harryhausen dinosaurs and things. And he's talking about maybe, bring some of them along to the event, and we can screen some Harryhausen stuff as well, which would be nice.
Oh, very nice.
And because Stuart, another friend of mine who does the Misty Moon events, he's doing something this year with Dee Anderson, who's Jerry Anderson's daughter, I think.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
There's something, so that's kind of interesting. That might be tying in what we do, because one of the things I do when I'm doing Infinity is I'd like to try and make a wide variety of stuff in there, and so I'm gonna usually try and have something in there on comics, usually something on comedy, and I really do like to get really unusual things. I think one of the most unusual things I've got recently, I haven't published it yet, but there's one of our writers, Doug Young, nice chap. I met him through Dennis. I met him at some event. Anyway, and I introduced him to Dennis Mickle because he and his friend Kip they purchased Todd Slaughter's unpublished manuscript of his autobiography, and Dennis was salivating over this because he was going to write a definitive book on Todd Slaughter. So the three of them got together, and Dennis wrote it with some assistance from them. They provided that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Doug and then started doing the odd bits for me, and he comes up with something. And he'll go, "Oh, can I do something on this?" We did something recently, a Welsh horror film that I'd never heard of, and it was a nightmare trying to get pictures for it. But it was a really interesting read, so I published it. But then he told me that his is it his uncle or something? I don't know. Anyway, his uncle, whatever this guy's name, something young. Anyway, his uncle, great uncle, or something like that. He said, would you like me to interview him for Infinity? And I said, well, what's his claim to fame then? And he said, well, he was burning the bolt on the golden shot. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. So he's given me this fantastic interview with pictures of the guy's about 98 now or something, you know, chatting to him about his. And I'm thinking, I love reading stuff like that, you know, just because it's something you think, you know, who else is going to be interviewing people like that? You know, you just suddenly come out of the woodwork and you think, wow, you know, and it's a nice little feature, you know, and those are the kind of things I really like seeing, and about things because it's all about nostalgia, really. And to me, Dark Side is essentially that as well. We do occasionally publish things on new films, but I realise quite often I get suckered into it because somebody says to me, do you want to publish a thing on this? And I will go, yeah, okay. Is it? I'll tell you what happened recently, right? So quite often I get so there's a big new horror film coming out. Like there was Scream, you know, one of the last Scream films a couple of years back, and they were you can have an interview with Courtney Cox or something. Oh, somebody big from that, and I said that's not really our thing, you know, not really our thing. We don't really. And they were going, yeah, but can we get the cover? And I said, you can't get never on our magazine because Rick always does the covers anyway. And if Rick did a Scream cover with Courtney Cox in it, she'd probably be suing us. So, you know, spinning out of some low country.
True.
So, anyway, but in this instance, recently, for example, Simon Hooper, one of my writers, Simon gets offered a lot of stuff. And he always phones up and goes, oh, you know, when are you going to publish this? When are you publish that? And if we get an interview, so when can it be published? And he was he flogged me his interview with Lee Whannell, who has got some, you know, some provenance in the horror world, obviously for Saw and things like that. There's lots of things he's written. And of course he did that.
But he's just ruined The Wolfman.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, so what happened was this. So Simon calls me up and he goes, or emails me, and he said, look, I've got an interview with Lee Whannell for The Wolfman. And I said, we can't really, you know, when's it coming out? And I said January. And I said, oh, well, you know, we haven't got time to get it into print. And he goes, when would you need it if you needed it to get into print? And I said, oh, I'll give you a deadline of, say, December, early December. I thought, yeah, he won't get it. Of course, Sod's Law, he comes in with this interview, right? I'm nothing against his writing skills or anything, but I just had this immediately thought after I started trying to, first of all, I couldn't get any bloody decent pictures for it. It was some stupid ones out there online. And then it was like they kept bombarding me. Is it going in? Yeah, okay. But I regret those things sometimes because, you know, I had this feeling and the reviews started to come in and I thought, oh, no, you know, it's not. Now, I've just done another one as well. I think it's in the next issue with a film called All My Friends Are Dead or something.
Right.
Yeah, Amfad. And the same thing, I look at it and think, is this going to be any good or not? You know, I don't really know. I'd rather read a piece on an old classic film.
Yeah.
John Hamilton or Madhouse or one of those kind of features, which is fine. I've got a lot of really good writers who do that. So I'm going to try and stop myself getting suckered into, oh, is this big new horror film coming up? You know, do a feature on it. Because 9 times out of 10, the film ain't that great. And then worse than that, you've got all these pictures. You know, you can't get a decent picture from it. I mean, I've seen some good films lately. I mean, we all like The Heretic, for example. The Hugh Grant one was really good. But again, you know, that's not a film you could really. It would lend itself to a picture spread in Dark Side. It's not got a lot of gore and stuff. It has got some.
No, it hasn't at all.
But you know, and there are a lot of films like that that are really good. My daughter Amber, she's big. She probably goes to see more horror than I do, but she said The Presence is very good. We all like the Substance. You know, some of those films are pretty good, but we can never get them in early enough. And you know, and getting offered interviews with these people, sometimes the interviews are great, you know, if it's the right people. But a lot of the time, they're just very, very dull because they're just trying to flog their film and get everybody to go. They're going to,
Yeah.
you know, I'd rather have an interview with somebody who's not even working anymore and got some scurrilous things to say about people they work with, you know, so you can get a bit more interest out of it. And that is why I much prefer, you know, when people come to me with all these, you know, interview with somebody who made a film in the 1960s or the 70s, you know, and they've got the full.
Yeah.
That's far more interesting to read. I don't really like to, you know, with more modern stuff. It's like when I was growing up, you know, I used to listen to my heroes on the telly. Used to, you know, people like, you know, sometimes you'd be watching Parkinson or Russell Harty or some of these chat show people, and they'd have Christopher Lee on there, or
Yeah.
they'd have, you know, Peter Ustinov was always great value. Peter Cushing was always good. Yeah. And they were proper grown-up interviews where they actually talked about stuff they wouldn't just say, "Oh, what if anyone wants to work with this person on this film and that person?"
Yeah.
You know, and used to get Oliver Reed on there misbehaving and things like that. And they were always fun, but you know, now they just play the game, don't they? They go on there and they go, "Oh yes, it was." You know, so I don't really listen to much of that stuff. And I know if I got any big name people to interview on the horror scene, they would probably be very, very bland. You know, at the moment. So I'm not. So I think we could carry on. Our idea is to do, you know, just to do the classics, if you like.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, that's it. But one of the things at the moment is funny. I have to try to choose because Rick's been doing this book. He's been working so hard. I've been having to fish out old pictures of his to use as covers. But he's done a new one for the next one because it's the Shed of Hell illustration that he's done. So, and I said, "Oh, we'll use the Shed of Hell on the cover. See what happens with that." But it's a good image.
Yeah.
And you know, you better read about the Shed of Hell. I hope that Mike does well. He says he's sold about 70 tables or something like that. So God knows what the tables are. I don't know who's going, you know. But I think it's local. He's got local firms who do horror stuff, you know, T-shirts and stuff like that, and horror
Yeah.
figurines and everything. But they won't be showing any films, but they will have entertainment. So you know, I'll be interested. But he's really going for it. It's going to be like a 2-day event, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean,
Fingers crossed.
yeah, well, we did a 2-day event on the previous year's DarkFest because Sam Irvin, my pal Sam, came over from America. He wanted to go. He wanted to hire what's his name, Leonard Whiting for the second day and show. He wanted to hire Leonard Whiting, and he also wanted to show the Frankenstein: The True Story. So he was paying for him. He paid him quite a chunk of money. So I said, "All right, well, I'll hire the cinema for the second day, and I'll take the cost of the hire out of you, whatever you're going to sell, you know," which is what worked out all right for us. But my problem there was and this is a problem that I think I'd face if I tried to do another 2-day event, was you get all the people go, "Oh, I'll come on the Saturday, but I don't want to come on the Sunday." And the next was we should have really boxed it off because she disappointingly had organised something with Tony Marden to shoot some film on the Sunday, so she couldn't join us. And we got a few people stopping, coming down, saying, "Where's Linnea Quigley?" And she's not joining us today. She said she would hopefully join us later. Yeah. That's sorry, that's Kevin phoning me, but I'll leave him for a second. God knows where he wants. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, but aside from that, it's So it's been we're having a good year, and I think this year is going to be a nice one for us for a number of reasons. I mean, we've whether the Shed of Hell goes well or not, I'm looking forward to going down there and spending the day with everybody.
Yeah.
Ian's Daly's going, and so is who else is going now? Well, Karen Monroe's going, I believe, and so is Maddie, I think. So a lot of the Hammer girls are going, it should be all right. It should be, you know, Mike is really pushing the boat out, and he's really spending a bit of money on this event.
Yeah.
So you know, and he's going, "Oh, we've got a Swedish meatball company or something, burger van or something like that. They're a local business in Rushton. He was going to put Rushton on the map, so we'll see.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But I'm looking forward to DarkFest, I must admit, this year.
Oh, it's
finally being able to get down.
Yeah, it's. I mean, as you say, it's a bit of a journey. Where are you going to stay at the Mile End Travelodge?
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to stay at.
Oh, that is good. We already booked the Lowery for that. It's not that expensive. It's not too bad to stay there.
Yeah,
it's a bit. Obviously they put the price up a little bit on the Saturday night, but so we booked our events there. I think they've got quite a lot of rooms. I mean, Lynn was a bit, just a bit small, the place. And I said, well, it may be, but it's, it's still okay for when you consider what you would get in London. And as far as being local for the cinema, well, it's just there. I mean, you have to walk down the road. It's literally about sort of 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes down the road, and it's no problem at all. Although I think Cynthia was moaning, Cynthia Monreal last year. We came with her husband, and I think I had to Uber them up to the Jet, and I'd sold them to. I foolishly told the guy to take them to the Genesis, and they had to then walk up the road to find their travel lodge after them. But it wasn't that far away, It was just one of those things that, because I don't like to. The good thing is when we're dealing with guests, it can be a pain in the backside, because if some of them are a bit more needy than others. The good thing about like Lynn Lowery, she's been a very easy one for us because Lynn's, told us what it would cost to book her flight. We sent the money to her, and we booked her room, and so that's basically done. So all we need to think about now is getting a Uber picked up from wherever she's in. And the same will go for Francesca Ciardi because she just wants to. She'll get over it, and she said, "I'll book my flight, and you just give me the money at the event," which is fine. We can do that, We need to organise her. So I need to be a bit better organised. We've never really had any big problems apart from the fact that it's trying to fit everyone in. So many people want to go, and at the end, I have people who want tables there, and I've had to say no. I can't really find a table for you because. Space wise, it's we can get about 24 tables in, but if we've got about a dozen guests, we get a dozen tables in. But then, I think the one thing I miss is not having the Circus of Horrors there anymore. Because we used to have Circus of Horrors there, unfortunately they've gone now. They've ceased to be because Dr. Hayes sadly passed away. He was the man in charge of it. And it's a shame, but they did carry on for a while, but I just don't think that the motivation wasn't there really.
Yeah,
passed away. Very sad event. But anyway, so going back to as I say, the magazine's coming tomorrow, so I should be posting. We'll be posting them out tomorrow, rushing around like blue-ass flies, and I think at the moment I'm looking forward to going to the Gentleman's Fight because John Houghton, I've been talking. He's recommended. We were talking about true crime the other day, and he loves one of the best true crime books is Helter Skelter. The Vincent Bugliosi book on the Manson murders. But intriguingly, John was saying to me, because I do like doing true crime, and he only says, if we ever did another magazine, what would you like to do? And I said, wouldn't actually mind doing a true crime magazine, because I think they're always fascinating. I love reading about those things. Anyway, so John Hamilton said to me, he said you should read this book called Chaos, which was written. It's an intriguing one that I bought it as a Kindle to read, and it is really intriguing because it tries to drive a lot of holes through the whole. Bugliosi was the guy who prosecuted Manson, obviously, and it was all about him being charismatic. This Chaos book pontificates about that the CIA created the likes of Manson and all that by brainwashing.
Yeah.
To doing that. And it's interesting because just after I finished reading it, I noticed that it cropped up on Netflix as a series, as a documentary, which I watched the other night. So, but it kind of ties. It's great for conspiracy theory nuts because it's all like the bloke who's written it. It's done quite reasonable as Tony's said. He's done it, but he's saying I didn't want to fall into the conspiracy theory trap. But then he does, and then he talks about Jack Ruby, being brainwashed to kill. Which is all in the news at the moment, isn't it? Because Trump's supposed to be releasing all the documents about the Kennedy assassination.
Supposedly they're released now, so.
I know, but apparently there's nothing much different in those from the one that Joe Biden released a few years ago. But now, so John said to me, you also should read that Vincent Bugliosi did a book on the Kennedy assassination as well. So he's going to loan me that tonight in the old-fashioned paper version. So I'm looking forward to reading that as well. But
nice.
Yeah, definitely. So,
well,
yeah.
I think we've kind of covered everything. You need to get off.
Yeah, good Gentleman Horror Night tonight. Bless you.
So, yeah, it's been, as usual, a great conversation with a great man.
Well, I'm the one.
Thank you so much.
No, it's great.
Pardon?
So you're the great man here, not me.
I wouldn't go that far. Not at all.
They're always nice to, look, what you do is great. It's, you get people to, chat about stuff, and it's a whole area that, as I say, we've not really entered this whole podcasting, but there are a bunch of good ones, and you're certainly up there, and it's always nice to watch your stuff, and which we do. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for letting me tag you as well when I release one.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to share it, and also. It will be great to meet up in person at DarkFest.
Definitely, 100%. Great to meet quite a few folk, to be honest, who are going to be there, who have become friendly with, who have not met yet. So it'll be quite interesting. But no, stick around for a little bit after we sign off, and I'll have a chat with you. But yeah, thank you as always, Alan, for coming on and sharing your insights.
Okay.
As usual.
Pleasure. And we'll do it again, I'm sure.
Definitely. So we've been the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club Presents. I've been PD. That's been Allan Bryce. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kruger. I'm the director of Fry Barry and Street Trash. This is Barry. You also may know him as 2-Bit in Street Trash. You're watching the Carlisle Cult Cinema Club. Subscribe and like Facebook social media pages.